Thanks for all who are listening. My name is Thomas Kenny. This is my Data 698 Capstone presentation on what I've done so far for this paper or project. The title for it is Predicting Heart Attacks, and we're focusing on the impacts different health statistics have in causing a heart attack. Here are the different topics that will be covered today. As you can see, the more important ones are scope, problem definition, importance of the problem, existing research, critical success factors, key performance indicators, data set, descriptive statistics, and then lastly, we will talk about lessons learned to date. In a study in 2021 from the American Heart Association, it was determined that in the United States alone, every 40 seconds, someone will have a heart attack. Each day, roughly 2,500 people die of a heart attack, which translates to someone dying every 34 seconds in the U.S. because of a heart attack. Every year is estimated that 605,000 first-time heart attacks occur and 200,000 recurrent attacks happen. Amongst these heart attacks, 170,000 of these are considered silent attacks, meaning no symptoms or no obvious symptoms have occurred, or the person or the patient does not know they're having a heart attack or they did have a heart attack. Since 2000, cardiovascular diseases have led the U.S. in deaths. Amongst this group, ischemic heart diseases, excuse me for butchering that, more commonly known as heart attacks, are the most deadly in this group. Heart attacks. A heart attack is when the arteries that supply the blood to the heart become narrowed or blocked completely. Usually, they become narrow or blocked completely because cholesterol starts to build up in these arteries, causing the paths to become significantly smaller, which will strain the blood vessels and veins in the arteries. Not only do these heart attacks lead the United States in deaths alone, but it does cause a great financial burden on many patients, and not just the patients, but the government, the economy as a whole, because people are either dying from heart attacks or spending a lot of money trying to prevent heart attacks from happening. In 2010, a study showed that $177.5 billion went towards the cost of heart disease, anything related to a heart disease. And then 10 years later, another study was conducted which showed that from 2019 to 2020, the total cost of cardiovascular disease, including heart attacks, was around $422 billion, with heart attacks accounting for more than half of this amount. This research project's focus is going to determine what health factors contribute most to heart attacks and attempt to predict which patients are more susceptible to a heart attack. Since cardiovascular diseases cause the most death and great financial burden, all that are affected by this disease, being able to accurately predict which patients are more susceptible to having a heart attack should lead to less heart attacks and deaths over time, with the potential bonus of less financial burden. What this means is that if we're able to be fully successful with this project, we should be able to predict which health factors, things like cholesterol, BMI, which is body mass index, blood pressure, heart rate, things like that, and other things like family history, income, education, employment status. All these factors and more factors will be analyzed and run through predictive models to determine which of these specifically cause heart attacks more often, and if we can use that information to try to predict heart attacks and hopefully save people, save lives and save money as well. The study from 2019 to 2020 that was mentioned previously, with the total cost of cardiovascular disease being $422 billion, that translates to $254 billion US going towards direct costs related to heart disease. So that's going to be things like medicine hospital stays, and even like funerals and things of that nature. And then the remaining portion of 168 billion US dollars went towards indirect costs such as loss of productivity. So someone has a heart attack and they can't work, so the economy as a whole takes a hit. And a report in 2022 estimates that the total cost for cardiovascular disease could reach 2 trillion US dollars by the year 2050. Sorry. So, again, this just puts more emphasis on the fact that this project is important. Not only just to save lives, but $2 trillion by the year 2050. That's a lot of money. There's a couple existing research projects that are being conducted right now that are very similar to the project that we're trying to do today. The first one is a research group from Uppsala University, led by Professor Sundström. They've developed a tool that they hope that will increase the survivability and motivation to change the lifestyles in their patients. The tool is able to determine, with a simple blood test, the risk level of a heart attack within the next 6 months in specific patients. Another research project led by Dr. Weng has developed an artificial intelligence or AI algorithm that can predict heart attacks 10 years before they occur with 76% accuracy. The algorithm works by taking electronic patient data for like your local doctor's office, and can pick up on specific data that suggests heart attacks is imminent, or give a more accurate estimation as to when a heart attack could happen within the next 10 years. Right now, this Dr. Weng's research project is in the trial stage, and that he indicated that the AI predicted 7.6% more events than traditional methods, with a 1.6% fewer false alarms. This translates to 355 more lives that could have been saved based on the 83,000 records they use. So with these two studies, it shows that they're both of these groups are trying to predict heart attacks, because it's a significant issue that's plagued not just the United States but the world for many years, and it's the leading cause of death for the world as well. And both of these research projects, are well on their way to trying to get a handle of the situation. I mean, 76% accuracy from Dr. Weng's algorithm. That's really good. It's not 100%, but it's high up there, and 76% is a lot better than anything else I could imagine at this moment in time. Part of doing an analytical report is you want to ensure that some critical success factors are mentioned, and you try to abide by those factors. Critical success factor is defined as a specific element that organizations or teams must focus on and successfully implement to reach their objectives. The three critical success factors that were selected for this report was: 1, ensuring the data set is appropriate for the project goal and fits the predetermined parameter set. Basically, for this report, there were 4 different options. The options selected, the data set needed to have over 100,000 rows of data, and at least over 100,000 rows of data. And then the variables, there needed to be at least 15 number variables versus like characters, so like numbers instead of letters, basically. So we had to make sure that the data set chosen fell within those predetermined parameters. And then the second critical success factor was determining which type of models are best for this kind of analytical report. So we're using predictive models, and there's a lot of different predictive models. We haven't gotten to that point where I'm selecting which models are going to be used necessarily. I have looked at some. There's HPV, neural network. There's HP Forest. There's a decision tree. There's bagging, and it's a plethora of different models that can be used. So we have to make sure we do the research to determine which models are going to be best, and that could be just doing basic research, Googling, looking up different articles, things like that. It also might just be making each different model that you can come up with and just running them and see which one's the most accurate, which one's giving us more better predictions. It's predicting accurately what we're trying to do, more true positives and true negatives versus false positives and false negatives. Uh, and lastly, the third critical success factor is determining which software uh, that we should use that's best for the data analyst, so me in question, to effectively and efficiently get the best results. And there's a bunch of different data sets that can be used. You could use, or sorry, there's a bunch of different softwares you can use. There's Python, RStudio, MySQL. We have Tableau for visualization strictly, um, and then there's Enterprise Miner. So right now we have chosen to use Enterprise Miner, um, but with potentially using Tableau or R to try to make some visualizations as well. Moving on, we got our key performance indicators. Key performance indicators are quantifiable measurements used to gauge a company's overall long-term performance. Pretty much, um, these are like different. The key performance indicators that were used in this report focused on 3 different variables that were believed to be more prominent statistics in determining if someone's gonna have a heart attack or not. So, based on the Mayo Clinic article that was read, the variables cholesterol, previous heart attack, and family history should have more of an impact than other variables. Based on common knowledge, also that these 3 variables are amongst some of the leading factors to determine if someone will experience a heart attack or not. So we're trying to focus on these 3 variables as our key performance indicators because we think, because we think that they're going to have a significant impact on the results of the models that are run today. The data set was chosen for this report was found on Kaggle.com. It's labeled as heart attack data set and was created by Mr. Panday. It has 32 different variables with 372,975 rows. This data set is it's a very large one. Should have more than enough data for us to work with to manipulate and try to get the best results from our models. This is, like I said, very large data set. Might take some adjustments. We might have to maybe reduce the amount that's being worked to see if that affects the data set in a good or bad way. Or sorry, the models in a good or bad way. The data in the data set was not specifically mentioned how the data was obtained. However, it was obtained by 3 different web sources. And the data was collected from November 2019 to July 2024, and it states that it will be updated per year. This is just a little visual of the different variables on the left in the blue box. You see there's in total 32 different variables. A brief little description of what each variable is a description of each variable. We have the type of the data type they are. There were no outliers detected. However, we did run into some issues that we'll talk about with that later on. And there were no missing or null values in this data set. Descriptive statistics, pretty much those are just statistics like mean, median, mode, or standard deviation. There are a few more. These are used to summarize the data set in a quick way, so the audience or the readers can better understand the data instead of giving it all at once. Because, like I said, for this data set, it's definitely a large one. Examples of a good and bad one, a good and bad example of descriptive statistics will be shown on slide 12 and 13. This figure shows a good data set with the variable with a good descriptive statistics. We can see that there's it tells us how many rows there are, if there's any mismatches, if there's anything missing, the mean, the standard deviation, and the different quantiles. So this is a good one, a good variable. We usually have it's usually a descriptive statistic variable will be more numbers than anything. So something like diet, it's not necessarily going to be a good one. It's three different categories. It's just moderate, healthy, or other, which the other one was, I believe, unhealthy. So it's not a good it's not a good variable for the things like the quantiles, mean, standard deviation. So that's just something to think about. Not all the variables will give us these good descriptive statistics. At the end, at the end of the day, we went over units 2 and 4 of the Capstone project. Sections that were done primarily consist with indicating what the problem is, going over what the problem and what the focus of this project is, and then breaking down the data, cleaning it up if need be, and talking about what tools are used, where the data is from, what potentials we can get out of this data set. We did run into some issues, like I mentioned before, with the outliers. It's such a big data set. It was really hard to accurately say if there were any outliers. I tried to go through using like scatter plots for each variable, but it was kind of hard to tell. As far as I can tell, there weren't really any outliers, and if there were, it does not seem like, based on what I've done so far, that they're really affecting it in a negative way. I tried to use different methods. Enterprise Miner was supposed to have some kind of node I could use to just kind of automatically search for outliers, but I couldn't find it. And then I tried to look up a z-scores and the IQR method, but again, I wasn't able to find. I was struggling with finding an accurate way to kind of calculate all that because of the large data set. So in the future, I do need to work on trying to find a resolution for this issue. The visual the types of tools that were used was Enterprise Miner and Tableau so far. Those are going to what will be focused on to build the models and the visualizations. But overall, these the topics covered today, they were more of a refresher course. Everything has been done in previous classes, but it's been a few months since I've done them. So it was nice to get a little refresher for all this. And it's nice that in general, this project is broken up. It could be done all at once, but it's very nice that it is broken up into different units to help do it over time, do over 8 weeks. Thank you for listening into my presentation, and I look forward to any feedback you can give me.